me, ma'am. May we help you cross?
Why, that would be lovely, boys.
Scouting, where character counts.
Oh, I think I forgot my purse up there.
Okay. Aside from the low res old TV broadcast, let's carry on to it. One more, and then we'll get into some other things.
This is our place, where guys rule and little sisters don't, where you get to make things and catch stuff, where mud is meant to be shared. This is scouting. Scouts meet here. Adventures to remember, words to live by. Be a
All right, be a scout. Okay, one more quick thing. We're going to talk a little bit about scouting today for most of this episode. So I thought I'd give you a couple things to think about that are a little more current. But yeah, having a space for the boys to do their thing was pretty important. Here's a couple other little quick facts for you.
These are 9 things you don't know about the Boy Scouts of America. The only recorded Tyrannosaurus Rex footprint was discovered at Philmont Scout Ranch. The FBI recruited 20,000 Boy Scouts as informants in a program known as Operation Safe.
Wow.
Liam Payne from One Direction was a Boy Scout. 11 of the 12 astronauts who walked on the moon were Boy Scouts. Paul McCartney's first musical performance took place at a Boy Scout camp where he friended John Lennon. Steven Spielberg is an Eagle Scout. David Bowie's first musical performance took place at a Boy Scout camp in 1958. 85% of FBI
he's that
agents
old.
have been Boy Scouts. Only 5 countries in the world don't have scouting: North Korea, Andorra, China, Cuba, and Laos.
Yeah, so that's one thing I wanted to touch on a little bit today, is the international aspect of scouting. You talk about it from a U.S. or a Canadian aspect or a British thing. They all kind of have the unique flavors of scouting, but there is kind of the international flavor as well that's out there. Here's a video from 1963 of what they'd call like an international jamboree. Jamboree is just a big camp out. So look here, 14,000 scouts in 1963 went to Greece to camp out for a couple weeks. Huge brotherhood, meeting people, learning things, meeting the leaders of the countries would have their own reps come and talk and do stuff. They would have different games. They would have different performances. Each country would showcase their own kind of talents and their own background and different things. So there was a lot of stuff going on. It's really hard to talk at the same time as this background talking is going on there. So, there was a lot of like recommitment to kind of, working together as a world. I'm not going to play all this because it's about 7 minutes long, but we'll skip to a couple other ones. Different countries would come and showcase some of their culture. Some ads would sneak into my recording. And, and then they'd share knowledge, and badges was a big thing too. They'd have badges from their own kind of national campouts, and then you'd come and you'd trade those badges for the campouts from other scouting regions. It was pretty fun. Of course, I wasn't at this one. Not that old, jeez. But 89 countries. Like, talk about how to build peace and unity in an international community, right? We knew how to do it then, and we can do it again. And there's still some of this goes on today. There still is international scouting. There's still scouting in the States, even though they went bankrupt at one point, and have been rebranded and aren't just Boy Scouts anymore. There's usually a large component of faith-based Christian beliefs and structures that are observed. At least they were in the West. I don't know what happens in different parts of the world. But you can imagine all these, that's 14,000 people camping out, eating, needing latrines, taking care of their own clothes, staying watered. Look at the stuff they build. You'd build these things. You needed it, you built it. One camp out I was at, there was torrential downpour of rain. I woke up to 2 inches of water underneath my tent. Thank goodness the floor was watertight. But my tent was almost floating away. If I hadn't have been laying down on it, it would have been gone. Yep, and then each nation just shows off a little performance, shows off their stuff, and there's marches and parades and usually outings. So I'm sure in Greece they went and did archaeology, went and saw old monuments and things like that. The last one I went to was in Prince Edward Island, and that was, they did a lot of outdoor work. Went saw Inn of Green Gables, went to all these different things. Went and canoed and kayaked and went on tours of the island and stuff like that. So that's that kind of camaraderie is kind of hard to find these days in a virtual world. You might find other people who are interested in one or two of the same skills that you learned, but how do you connect with others? That's the question for the day. How do you connect to others and learn things together and grow together? I better turn that volume back up while I remember. And before we zip over to, we're going to jump into something a little deeper in a minute, but a couple more commercials. These ones are really grainy, but they're pretty funny. It's a recording of a recording on a projector screen in a log cabin, so here we go.
So enjoy them that way. Heavens, behold, witness the master at his trade. Give me that.
Well, that's pretty good. I can't say I've even seen that one before. One more here. I love how they have the dog. Actually, you can hear the dogs going yap, 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 barking louder and louder as that goes on. And then they play that dissonant kind of minor stuff. There, it's like, call this number or you're gonna die if you don't learn. Okay, so I'm gonna play a video from a guy must be older than me, but he's got a 1978 Boy Scout Handbook. And I'll just turn the volume down for a minute. Go check out his channel, Bays on Blades. If you want to talk about knives and stuff. This is a copy of the book that he got. I would go over it myself if I had a copy, but I don't. So we'll just go over it with him. And the Boy Scout Handbook was different in different countries, but was chock full of all the things you needed to know, from civics to morality to building a camp to swimming to rescue to preparing food, etc. Everything that you kind of needed was packed in there. And then, of course, you go and get deeper information from other places.
That's not what I'm going to talk about, though, because that's not... I did take those things, but I also had those things in my home. I'm going to
skip through this.
Home. I had those
37 minutes long. I'm going to
foundational beliefs.
Jump through here.
It was wrong to lie. It was wrong to steal. You didn't want to murder anybody. You didn't want to cheat with somebody's wife. All of those things plus that come with that belief system. So I don't want to cover that here, but what I want to talk about is the difference in what it meant to be a boy in 1979 compared to 2024. And let's try to avoid all the modern societal bullshit and condense this down, distill it down, break it down to foundational skill sets that a young boy would have had a few decades ago, a couple of generations ago in the United States of America.
Actually, this is interesting. I was going down a bit of a rabbit hole on Norman Rockwell, the artist who did the art here. And Norman Rockwell was like the artist in residence for a magazine called Boy's Life that was basically all around scouting. It was kind of the scouting magazine. But Norman Rockwell was known for a lot of Americana kind of folk art stuff that set the feeling and sensation into paint and art from a very distinct set of eras. So if you haven't heard of him, you probably have seen his stuff already. At least you'll see, Santa at Christmas and a few other ones. Might do a review of more of his work in the future. If you're interested, drop a comment if you want to learn more. But capturing the nostalgia and the ethos of the time was his strength. And you'll see the illustrations throughout here. I don't know if he did all the illustrations, but he did the cover for sure.
We were a much more capable society. Even people that lived in cities, major metropolises, were not that far removed from a country life, let's say. And they
that's one of the areas too that I believe there should be more rural urban exchange type programs. I did an exchange program across the country once that was really fascinating to visit another area, but it was to another rural area where I was already from a rural area, so it wasn't as impactful as maybe going to a city would have been, or vice versa. But the Boy Scouts gave that opportunity especially for inner city kids that didn't have as many role models or didn't have as much access to nature, et cetera, gave them the tools, the leadership, the campgrounds, the capabilities, the skills to help them really do something much different that it wouldn't come necessarily naturally in an urban environment.
They still had knowledge of skill sets, but those skill sets have been lost.
Skip through a bit here.
It is Judeo-Christian based, so you're going to see a lot about honesty, treating people fairly, having respect for other people, regardless of who or what they are. The Boy Scouts were teaching this stuff decades before all the Kool-Aid hair-colored lesbians got out in the streets and started burning their own cities down in support of whatever.
All right, sorry, I didn't know that I was in there.
They're into.
But look at this. You can imagine though, an 8-year-old, 9-year-old kid picking up a book like this and just learning and learning and learning. Like you instantly were part of a group. You had common morals. You had common ground with the direction your group was going. You had common sets of badges and skills to learn, and you had people there to teach them, supervise you, and then test you on that learning. He'll touch on it a little bit throughout here.
We're already teaching us to be fair to others, among other things. So there is a moral foundational teaching within this, at least back in my era there was. But beyond that, there is also civic duty, something that is sorely missing in the modern world. I'm not just talking about America. There was a time when people actually cared about their nations. When people care about something, they tend to take care of it, don't they?
Yeah.
You buy a brand new car, you just drop $50K on that car. You care about that damn thing, don't you? You're washing that thing every week. It's getting the latest wax, the latest ceramic coating. You've got everything done. You've got some surface protecting on it. You didn't put fresh tint on the windows to make the interior last. You're taking care of it. That's what that is all about. These civic lessons are all about that. When you care about the group that you're in, you're not subservient to that group. You're not subservient to the nationality.
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting one because a lot of the moralization, or what do you call it? Well, at least today is just virtue signaling to look like you're good, or to say you're good, or to raise your hand and say yes to something, but doesn't necessarily teach you the in-depth skills you need to actually help build a resilient and supportive society.
You care about the nationality because strengthening that mindset, which is basically a big family mindset, it is a positive return for you. Think about this. When does the United States get so strong that it doesn't benefit the United States? Now, regardless of any negativity out there, the stronger you are, the better off you are. Now, strength is not only physical strength, able to do harm unto others. It is all kinds of different strengths. Strengths of a family unit. That's what we are as a nation. We're a family unit, and that's what this book teaches to these kids. As we go through this, you're going to see life lessons, but you're going to see these illustrations. This is an illustration of a young boy rescuing somebody that's drowning. That's just an illustration, okay?
Yeah.
This is a scout is brave. Part of the scout motto. A scout is brave, okay? And this is the illustration. It shows not somebody doing violence. It shows somebody helping somebody.
Yeah, and if you read the text, you'll see it's like giving you stats too about how many people have taken life saving and have the skill set to save lives and help others. Not just talk about it, but actually do it.
Skills. You used to have to earn skill badges, merit badges in Scouts. This stuff is not only in this book. You would later be tested on it. And if you could show, hey, I can use this hatch. I know this use. I know this use. I know this.
Speed up just a little.
Across all of these uses. I remember these tests. And you're standing in front of your scout leaders and they're firing question after question at you. We're talking about young boys. I was 9 years old when I was earning these merit badges. To have 3 or 4 scout leaders in front of me asking me questions about this and having to demonstrate these skills, you talk about building character. You're talking about making a strong young person. That is an incredible, it was such an incredible character builder in my life. Not just learning the skills, but being tested on the skills and standing there. And everybody is terrified of their children and fire. In 1979, we sent our kids off in a group where other people taught them how to make all kinds of different fires. And we didn't worry about it because they had all these moral
Did the world burn?
Before they got into this. They had that foundation taught to them before they learned the skills that could be dangerous without discipline and without those moral foundational teachings. Let's see,
you didn't have to teach them to not burn a city down, though.
Not just a little bit. Okay, we're cooking all of these different ways of
so let's cook in. Let's move over to a couple more things real quick here, and then we'll. Ooh, there we go.
You and other people. When's the last time you taught your kids about them and other people, other than to just be scared of other people? Different types of communication. Look at this. Different types of communication. This is craziness. The spoken word.
This is great.
It goes through direct communication. How to make introductions in a conversation when you first meet somebody. How to introduce yourself. Think about how young people talk now. When you walk up to a young person and you start talking to them, do they have any conversational skills? Any at all, other than just to be able to mumble some words?
Yeah, if you just go back even if you just stuck with media and movies and looked at the way that people portrayed communication with each other, even strangers or in the store or on the street even, there was much more cordial conversation and really expected modes of communication that are unseen today in modern society for the most part.
Telephone communications. The proper way to make a call, the proper way to take a call. Come on. Anybody ever heard a kid answer the phone? That's some craziness right there. They have no idea what they're doing. They're going to go into the printed page. Showing people how to do something, that's a form of communication. This is awesome. Hand signs, sign language.
Oh, yeah.
Sign language. Yeah, we were learning that decade.
That's where I learned that.
Touch language.
Morse code.
Signal flags, distress signals. Okay, this is medical stuff here. How to deal with shock and fainting. How to stop bleeding. Major arteries. I was 9 years old. Hey, little Baz on Blades. This guy, he just had a negligent discharge of his firearm. He was appendix carry. He just shot himself down here in his nether regions. Pick up his balls. Let's stop this bleeding. When's the last time you taught your kid how to pick up balls and stop bleeding? I bet you never have. I bet you never have. CPR, medical things, slings, dressings. This is stuff. This is illustrated to do with your.
Everyone should know this stuff.
It's part of your uniform. It's part of your uniform.
Already.
It's always there. You can do all of this stuff with it. Yeah, burns, poisonous insect, arachnid bites, blisters, sprains.
Well, just another minute or two on this.
Again, more plan information. Fires. Okay, look at this. This is how to carry people. You're in a rescue. This is how you carry people. This is an amazing, amazing book. How far are we into this? 30 minutes already. Son of a gun. I've skipped so much.
There was one point I wanted to...
apologize for that. We're just
here we are.
You, American citizen.
Obviously, it vary by country. But history and knowledge of your landmarks and...
You don't know about it. You can't respect it if you don't know about
your
it.
rights
You can't
and
respect it
duties.
if you don't know
Imagine
about
that.
it. You don't want to support it. I'm not talking about...
I don't know. Do citizenship tests do that? Do they talk about your rights and your duties in that framework?
some cartoonish cult-like following. America is not perfect. It is still controlled and run by human beings, and every one of us, including me, including you, every president we've ever had, every leader, we're all fucked up. Period. There is none of us perfect. We have done things that are not perfect, but we have also brought more to this world than any other empire in the entire recorded history of mankind. The United States gives more money towards poverty, disease, famine than any other country every year. Every year. There is no year we don't.
All right. There's also
nuclear family.
The focus on the nuclear family. Let me just see what else they had in here. Community groups, different cultures working together, covering all the badges, and yeah, that wraps it up. It's a really good book to have. I mean, obviously, it's really it's superficial in many ways, but it's broad enough that it helps you get that kind of interest and touch point that you need to know. Like, hey, you learn these 5 spiders, but maybe you could learn some 5 more spiders, or you learn what mushrooms to avoid. Could you learn also what mushrooms to eat, etc. So anyway, that's the Boy Scout Handbook. Wow, I can't believe, yeah, we're almost at 30 minutes, as well as his video. I want to show a couple more things. One here is, you always know that Scouts are known for their knots. So I want to show you a quick knot video.
Boy Scout knots number 2 of 3. This is going over the 7 core Boy Scout knots. We're going to do 2 joining knots first, and then a loop knot. The next session will cover the 4 hitches.
Better slow that down.
Fixing or connecting 2 ropes together. And the first one we're going to do is a square knot. This is what everyone thinks is the easiest knot. It's not the easiest knot, but it's the first one you learn in Scouts. It's the square.
Can you do a square knot?
From England, you call it the reef knot. So here we take the 2 ropes, about the same size. I'm going to take the right one. I'm going to put it over the left, and then turn that one around on itself. So that's right over left, and then I take what's now the left side, I put that over the right, and I turn that around. Then I pull these 2 ends, the same rope, I pull against itself.
Score.
Tight, cinch it in, you have the square knot or the reef knot. Now another joining knot, for when you use ropes of uneven sizes, is called the sheet bend. So this could be a sheet or a thicker rope. So for demonstration purposes, it's a thin rope. But think of a thick rope, you might not be able to do something as elaborate as lots of turns. You can only bend it over on itself. So this is the thick rope. You take the thin rope, you come up through the middle with its working end, on that side,
around the tree,
across, you feed it through the front here. Okay. You see how that looks? You just pull it in, snug it in tight, press the knot, you pull, and it's holding. It's nice and tight. It works better when you have a thick rope, but this is the sheet bend, thick rope and a thin rope. We're going to tie the loop knot. That's one of the 7. It's the bowline. And we're going to throw a loop. And throw a loop, I mean I'm going to twist it. So watch how I twist that loop. I don't push it. Rope doesn't push so well. It might happen to twist that way, but I'm going to twist it. I create the loop and I hold it. And now notice the standing end is behind the front of the loop. So this one that goes up the hill, if you're creating a loop that won't slip that way, goes up the hill. Okay. Then I have the working end. I come up around the tree. Some people say the bunny comes up out of the hole, around the tree, and back into the hole.
Yeah.
And so you're simply creating that loop. I'm pulling these 3 together. So I'm holding those 3 and this one. I pull it up tight, I dress it, pull up tight, and now I have a loop that won't slip. I can hook a carabiner to it. I can, if this was bigger, I could stick legs through that and hold off the top if you're pulling someone up. I might tie a stronger type bowline than this one if I was to depend upon it, but that is a bowline and that should hold with regular loops. Let me just show you one more thing in case you find yourself doing it wrong.
Yes, one more.
People mess up or make a mistake on the first loop. I'm showing you how I turn this loop. I'm doing a right-handed tie. I'm turning it this way and holding it. If you threw it underneath, okay, and you're trying to create the loop coming up here, and then when you go behind the tree, this is not going to hold. It's going to come under. So just make sure when you look at the rope that it makes sense mechanically. I turn it around, and when I come up out of the hole and around the tree, I'm going to push this rope against the loop, so it's going to maintain adhesion and closure.
Yeah, there you go. That's something you can learn today. I had a couple more things I wanted to go over, but maybe I'll just go over them in another video. We'll get into a little bit more about maybe how the Boy Scouts did campsite stuff, and then we'll get into some maybe some more campcraft type things, bushcraft, outdoor stuff, and I've got a surplus store tour video for you, and a few other things. But in usual fashion, I wanted to close out with an iconic hero from the past age, and you can see as we move forward in time here, the references are going to get more and more obscure. I have to just check my timing on this video to see when to play it. But let's see. I'll just play the intro this time, and I'll find a good clip for you next time. Name that show.
I'm afraid our star reporter is going to have to disappear permanently. Where does all this come from, Bryce?
The components of Carter's mind. But he's adding to it.
It's computer generated, whatever it is.
Edison Carter and Max Headroom.
But with one single memory.
So, you might remember the Coca-Cola ads with Max Headroom and things like that. Those are pretty funny. There was way more than the commercials though. There was a whole series, and it was based on a British series called 20 Minutes into the Future, and then they made a whole TV series. I think it ran for 2 seasons of Max Headroom in general. So check that out and get a little nostalgia on there. All those are available on archive.org. You can just look up Max Headroom series. Anyway, I think I'll leave it there for now. I almost forgot. If you go to the web page, I've actually got a bunch more resources for you. If you go to the actual channel page, which is a little hard to see on here, you can look at videos or you can look at playlists. So, you'll land here normally, and you can go to playlists, and you'll see I've actually got a couple different playlists here for you. The thumbnail on them isn't really relevant because it just shows the first video's thumbnail. But, in one of those episodes, I covered a bunch of the military commercials. There's even more in here than we actually covered. But you can see the source for everything. I'm trying to make it so the original poster can get some clickbacks from you guys. But this one for boys culture is really a good one as well. You can get even more stuff about that we're going to dig into probably. Just give you an idea of where we're going. But all the scout videos are in there. All right, so you can dig into there, and maybe if there's interest, leave in the comment having like a Patreon version or a membership stream or something like that, where we just watch more of these long form ones together, or maybe in a live stream together before I do a recording mix down. Let me know what you think.